Gamers! Welcome to another video and another few weeks of hair growth. This is just a documentary of how long am I gonna grow my hair before I remember I'm supposed to get a haircut. I should schedule it because this is getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous, and I'm putting it off because I forget that it's supposed to be something that I'm supposed to do, and then when I don't do it, I forget, and it's a whole situation. And god damn it, I need a hair tie. Gio, fuck, this is a mess already. Alright, I'm back. So, let's talk about the new Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons 2024. Been sifting through it on D&D Beyond, been going through it in general, and putting together my thoughts, trying to get builds together, see what's new, what's different, what works, what doesn't, and overall, I think that this version is a by and large mechanical upgrade over 2014. I think there are a lot of really, really good new things in here from the game perspective. It's really exciting to see because it makes me think that, frankly, there are people at WotC watching videos like mine, like Treant Monk, Pack Tactics, actually looking at those videos and taking our comments and criticisms to heart. You know, it seems like there are people who are listening to us and who are listening to the criticisms that we're levying. But there's also some glaring things that I think kind of only further showcase, to be honest, how little it seems WotC understands their own game, to put it kindly. I'm not being facetious when I say this. Genuinely, it seems like there are decisions in here that don't line up with their own math. There's a glaring one. Gio just put conjure minor elementals fading into the background like a demon. Overall, it seems like a really good addition. It seems like it's really solid. Going through the book, you'll notice like obviously there's art, there's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people are complaining about the art on Twitter, and there are valid reasons to criticize the art in this book. Some of them are just complaining about tacos, though, and that blows my fucking mind. They're like,
oh, that doesn't fit within my verisimilitude.
First of all, tacos are canonized in the Forgotten Realms and have been since 2017. So go eat dick. You don't even know your own fandom. Second of all, there's so much art in this, and you're focusing on so little of what is actually present that it's kind of blowing my mind. There is gorgeous art in here. Like, not to show too much, but like, look at that. That's gorgeous. That is a psychic sorcerer dragon. Okay, that's cool as hell. I think some of the art is really colorful and really evokes an interesting new direction that I think they want to go on. New artistic direction that I think Wizards of the Coast is trying to lean into ever since. Babe? You okay? Okay. Sorry. Introduces a new art style that I think they've been trying to lean into since Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. I think they can go a little bit deeper into that art style. I think they can lean more into it. They're still kind of relying on a more old school style, and I get why. There's a lot of old nerds who really like that style. And by old nerds, I mean genuinely just like old nerdy people who grew up on that style and they want to see it represented, and I can empathize with that. There's also a lot of non-entirely valid criticisms of it, going like,
this new stuff is bad and it's lame and there's femboys in it. What even is this?
Oh wait, I saw this fucking tweet on Twitter about a character, about some art in this book. People fucking whinging about this purple druid. They're like,
what even is that race? What even is that? That's not an elf. And what are they doing to the elves and the drow? Ugh.
First of all, that's a Triton. They've been in the game since Xanathars, bro. Like, complain about shit that's real. There's like a weird culture war thing happening on Twitter of people being like,
oh, this game is woke. It's woke. This game's gonna suck because of woke.
And then their complaints are about like the Triton being like, I don't know what that is, and it's like it's a very popular D&D race and has been playable since Xanathar's Guide to Everything in 2016, 2017. Or people complaining about the taco, or the dance bard in this. They're like,
oh, what's that? I wouldn't have that on my team.
Okay, get over it. What's going on? It's often from the crowd as well that really touts themselves as like the guys who care about the rules. And I haven't seen a single fucking discussion about the rules from that crowd either. That's the thing that blows my mind. All these people complaining about, oh, these they call us the sparkle trolls. The new age of D&D players, the people who like role playing and backstories and stuff. And they call themselves grognards because they care about rules. And I haven't seen a single fucking soul talk about how they changed action surge yet. Why are you grognards not talking about the shit that you apparently care about? If you care about the rules, start talking about them. If you care about the art, talk about the art. But don't lie to me. Anyway, I'm getting entirely sidetracked. Hey, if you're liking this video so far, please remember to like and subscribe, bing the bell, tell all of your friends. It really, really helps out. And please support the Patreon if you can. It's only $3 a month and helps keep the channel afloat and helps me keep making videos. As well as pay my editor. Lovely guy, works really hard. Back to the rules. Enough about the weird shit happening on Twitter, because there's always weird shit happening on Twitter. Let's talk about the game and the rules themselves. I would say that by and far that this new edition is good. It is better than 2015 D&D by my standard. There's a lot of things that have been streamlined. There's a lot of verbiage that has been streamlined as well. The idea of the D20 test, I think, is a very useful metric to start using. D20 tests, it means that there's no longer any confusion in certain spells. It used to be whenever you make an attack roll, a saving throw, or a skill check, they'd have to write all of those out individually, but now all of those fit under a D20 verbiage, which I think is really useful, and I think it's very good for the game as a whole, because it allows more specificity, and therefore your rules can start interacting with them in a much more interesting way. The individual class changes. There's a lot of class changes, with specifically a lot of focuses on the melee classes, which I think is good. Melee needs attention. Melee always needs attention because melee is weak. And before people get up in arms in the comment section, this is not an attack, okay? This is just a statement of how things are. In Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, spellcasters are really good and they kick ass and they're better than marshals. If you want to play Pathfinder 2e, marshals are much better in that and frankly kind of gap spellcasters in a lot of areas. But in the 2024 D&D, I would say that marshals are still at that disadvantage, which I was a little bit disappointed by. Leading up to this, there was a lot of talk from the designers and from marketing about how, oh yeah, we're gonna make marshals good this edition. This edition marshals are gonna be awesome. They're gonna be great. And they definitely got close. They definitely, I think, are making some decisions that are getting them closer to being good, but they didn't make the full steps. They didn't do what they needed to do. They didn't standardize magic items leveling up, which means that marshals are going to always be that step behind. Frankly, the fighter is definitely still very, very strong. The Eldritch Knight is got a massive buff. Okay, the changes they made to Eldritch Knight I think are really, really cool. Fitting that the class that is, in my opinion, the best martial is also a spellcaster. That's Dungeons and Dragons for you. The Eldritch Knight has a lot of really, really, really cool changes. Their 7th level feature in 5th edition was if you take the attack action, you can then cast a cantrip as a bonus action. No. Or was that vice versa? I think that was vice versa. I think it was opposite. Either way, that doesn't sound it's not very good. Now they get the Blade Singer extra attack feature, basically, where when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with a casting of one of your wizard cantrips that has a casting time of an action. This is beautiful. This is gorgeous. Notice how they say wizard cantrips. That means you can't you can't absolutely steeze yourself up by taking Warlock Eldritch Blast. This is very well done, very good job. Like with your wizard cantrips, meaning very specifically you can't take other classes' cantrips to create interactions that shouldn't otherwise be possible. But also this is really strong. That means if we are to believe what they say, that these additions are backwards compatible with their previous stuff, that means an Eldritch Knight can now Booming Blade a part of their attack action, making them on par with the likes of the Blade Singer, which I think is really, really, really strong. Additionally, they made some changes to Great Weapon Master, the feat that every marshal needed to take previously. Now what it does is instead of taking a -5 and then adding to your attack and then a +10 to your damage roll, you just get a bonus to your damage roll equal to your proficiency bonus. I think this is a net buff. There's definitely some debate in that. I am going to say that it is a buff purely on the merit of it was very swingy previously. You had to balance out taking a huge debuff to your chance to hit with hitting in the first place and then dealing that massive amount of damage, +10. Especially at low levels, it's kind of way too good at the low levels, and then at high levels, it's necessary, and I didn't like how it felt to use all the time. I do like how it now is, where it's just, if you're using a heavy weapon, take the feat, you get to hit harder with the heavy weapon. being a marshal already sucks. There shouldn't be extra detriment to being a marshal, you know? And then with the Eldritch Knight at level 18, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace 2 of the attacks with a casting of one of your level 1 or level 2 wizard spells that has a casting time of an action. That's really cool. You can then mix up your spells. You can use utility spells in the place. You can make 2 attacks, vortex warp somebody, bonus the action surge, make 4 more attacks. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff with the Eldritch Knight. I'm really happy with the Eldritch Knight. I think it's one of the coolest classes in the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and I would highly suggest everybody look at this thing. I'm going to put like a flag here. I think there's going to be a lot of optimization present in this class in the future. I think that as they release new spells, new things are going to become present, new things are going to become available. Really, 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 really cool stuff. However, not all of the marshals got that benefit. Champion sucks. Still, champion fighter is still ass. Battle master is still really good. Psi warrior is now in here. They're introducing psionics to a lot of the martial classes. It's okay. Fighter's okay. They did give a lot of buffs to monk, which I think is very clever. They actually gave it class features. You can now deflect energy at higher levels. It's no longer locked behind a subclass. You get your focus points back now, like at lower levels. They give them more focus points in general. They've upped their melee damage. There's a lot of good benefit things that they gave to monk. But now we're gonna get into the things about martials that I'm a little bit upset by. This is not enough, right? There's not enough bonuses here, especially with the nerf to Paladin as well. Now a Divine Smite is on a bonus action on hit, meaning you can only add that extra damage once per turn. It's such a little bonus. It's so minor now. The Paladin to me is where my earlier comment of it seems like they don't often understand their game kind of rings true for me. Why are we nerfing Paladin Smite? Paladin Smite is a barely efficient way of spending your spell slots. If you spend a 2nd level spell slot, you get 3d8 damage. If you spend a 3rd, you get 4d8. If you spend a 4th, you get 5d8. A 4th level spell slot for 5d8 damage. If we were to compare these, like let's compare a 3rd level spell slot from a wizard to a 3rd level spell slot from a paladin. 3rd level spell slot from a wizard is Fireball. That's 8d6 to multiple targets. A 3rd level spell slot from a paladin is 4d8 to 1 target. The damage is not even comparable. There's so much more benefit to spending your spell slots in other ways. Bless, for example, a great use of a spell slot. So the fact that we are nerfing Paladin Smite, one of their features that makes them unique and useful, frankly kind of annoys me. It makes me go, why are we nerfing marshals even further? You didn't add enough here to necessitate nerfing Paladin. Additionally, the thing that you should have nerfed was Aura of Protection. Aura of Protection is the thing that says, you radiate protective, unseeable aura in a 10-foot emanation that originates from you. The aura is inactive while you have the incapacitated condition. You and your allies in the aura gain a bonus to your saving throws equal to your charisma modifier. This is insanely useful. This feature at level 6 basically gives everybody within 10 feet of you a massive bonus. It's the equivalent of having an proficiency in all saving throws while in that aura. It's very close to that. Let's say that you have 16 charisma, an 18 strength, and a 16 constitution. Very manageable for level 6 paladin. Your allies now have a +3 to all of their saving throws at this level, as long as they're nearby you, and they will be, because it's such a massive bonus. This feature is so good, and it got no look over. We nerfed the Paladin Smite, which is a very useful feature, but it's the only thing keeping Paladin in the game, and then we nerf Aura of Protection? It seems very odd to me, because Aura Protection, as I've been DMing, is always the thing that I'm annoyed by. It's always the thing that makes balancing fights harder, that makes balancing around the Paladin more difficult. It's never the damage. Some people say, well, they can crit fish. Who fucking cares? Okay, 10d8 damage, all of a sudden. Whoopee. That is an average of 45 on one target. Do you want to know what deals more than that? Disintegrate. That spell exists. Scorching Ray with Spirit Shroud. Like, there's just more in the other classes. I don't know why they nerfed this. It really upsets me. Like, let's look at the spells real quick, just so you know I'm not talking on my ass. Let's go to Divine Smite real quick. Divine Smite. Casting time. A bonus action which you take immediately after hitting a target with a melee weapon or an unarmed strike. Target takes an extra 2d8 radiant damage from the attack. Damage is increased by 1d8 if the target is a fiend or an undead. Damage increases by 1d8 for each spell slot level above 1. There's a bonus to Divine Smite now, which is that fact that you can scale it. If you get this on other classes, I'm seeing the gears are now ticking. You can get crazy high levels. You can get a big 10d8 smite now if you do a 9th level Divine Smite, which is pretty funny if you multi-class, but this doesn't seem... It's annoying. It was fine. Why change it? One of the biggest new changes that they've added to this game is weapon masteries. The weapon masteries have been touted as these big gap closers between marshals and the spellcasters. These weapon masteries are supposedly gonna make it so that there's an even playing field, and I'm not feeling that. Here are the mastery properties. We got Cleave, which means you can hit multiple targets in a range. Graze means if you miss, you can hit somebody for a little bit of damage. Nick, if you're wielding two weapons and you want to make your second attack with that other weapon, you can now make it as a part of your attack action, freeing up your bonus action. Push, you can push a creature 10 feet away from you. Sap, if you hit a creature with the weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. Slow, hit a creature with a weapon and deal damage to it. You can reduce its speed by 10 feet. Topple, con save or be tripped. Vex, if you hit a creature with a weapon, deal damage to it. You have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn. And like, these things are okay. They're not that good. They're okay. These are like Battlemaster technique light. And that's kind of my whole thing about this, is that they've kept on touting about how strong marshals are in this, and this is something. I'm not... Thanks for the subscribe. Look at that. Huh. You guys should subscribe more. Sure, I could slow someone and then swap to a weapon and then push them or push them away. And if I'm a fighter, I can use multiple weapon masteries on the same weapon. Like there's things here. There's stuff here. But it's just not enough. And the reason why it's not enough is because you have not closed the gap. By the level for which a fighter is making 3 attacks in a turn, wizards are turning into dragons. Spellcasters are growing, and there's been some nerfs to spellcasters, or at least some changes to their spells in order to make it more fair. For example, Polymorph now turns them into the creature but with a temp HP bar. Banish only banishes creatures of a specific creature type. Like, there's been some changes. Force Cage is now concentration. Fucking thank God. Why the hell wasn't that concentration? What was up with that? That was dumb. Like, there's been changes to some of the spells, but it still isn't enough. It's like, we're close. We're just not quite there. We just need a bit more from the marshals. We need to see extra utility. I need to see marshals have that, either that versatility or that ability to punish in combat, that ability to deal damage, the ability to scale their damage in combat. By God, scale their fucking damage. Especially considering the fact that they added a new spell in this edition. Conjure Minor Elementals, a 4th level conjuration spell for the Druid and Wizard classes. It's an action to cast, range of self-concentration up to 10 minutes. You conjure spirits from the elemental planes that flit around you in a 15-foot emanation for the duration. Until the spell ends, any attack you make deals an extra 2d8 damage when you hit a creature in the emanation. The damage is acid, cold, fire, or lightning. Your choice when you make the attack. So we can just swap damage types on a whim, dealing 2d8 extra per hit for a 4th level spell. In addition, the ground in the emanation is difficult terrain. Oh, so now it's also difficult to close distance. What else? The damage increases by 2d8 for each spell slot level above 4. This has got quadruple the scaling of Spirit Shroud, because not only does it scale per level, it scales 2 per level. This is insane. A 5th level Conjure Minor Elementals deals the same damage as a 9th level Spirit Shroud. This is fucking ridiculous. By high level, it's very common, and that's where I play. So I'm going to talk about high level here for a little bit. Everyone is going to use this spell, and everyone's got simulacrums because everyone's playing wizards, because everyone's got Wish Simulacrum at the ready. That means they're going to be using an 8th level spell slot to get this spell up, deal 10d8 extra per hit, and then launch a nuclear missile salvo of a 7th level Scorching Ray, because for some godforsaken reason you gave this to Wizard. That's going to be 8 Scorching Rays 10 d8 per hit. If those are hit, that's 80 d8 extra. That's insane damage. Times 2, 160 d8. What are we doing with this spell, guys? You nerf Paladin, but then make this shit? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. We're nerfing a martial while adding another nuclear bomb to the wizard arsenal. Was the first 90 not enough? This spell makes me wonder if it was checked. Was this written by ChatGPT? Watsy? Like, what are we doing here? Who tested this? Was there nobody going, hey, we've never released a spell that deals this much damage ever. The highest we have is Spirit Shroud. Spirit Shroud, guys. 4d8 per hit with a 9th level spell slot. That's the most damage you can deal. We're just gripping and ripping it. 10d8 per hit. 12d8 at 9th level. This is ridiculous. At 5th, it's incredibly useful at 5th level. 48 per hit at 5th level? Fucking Christ, say goodbye to what's ever in front of you. Especially if you're a wizard with Scorching Ray. I was so ready to like this edition, is the thing. I was so close, and then this makes me not confident in your abilities again. I know it's only one spell, but one spell is all it takes. One spell is literally the Paladin class feature of Divine Smite now. So yeah, it is just one spell. It's one spell that completely shifts the power scale once again to the already more than powerful wizards. Now we have wizards who can be dragons and also unleash nuclear bombs. To kind of reference how strong this is, I have a build that I made a video on a few months ago. It did 1006 damage. This was in 5th edition. And that was the most damage I have been able to pump out in a single turn using only, like, the fight starts, go. You put Conjure Minor Elementals into that setup instead of Spirit Shroud, which is what I used. The damage breaks the 2000s. That's how ridiculous this fucking spell is. And what makes it even worse is that the damage is decided on hit. Spirit Shroud, you have to make a decision because you choose your damage on cast. Cold, Radiant, Necrotic. Choose it. Conjure Minor Elementals, pick it on hit. Acid, cold, fire, lightning. I'll tell you this, not much resists lightning. And I don't think anything resists all of it. I don't think anything resists all of those damage types. If this spell doesn't get errated, I don't know what the fuck we're doing, guys. This spell needs to be changed. Maybe make it only apply once per turn, like everything else in the game. It's just confusing to me because it seems like they were moving towards this design philosophy of making things only apply damage once per turn. And if that's how everything works, that's fine. That's how rogues worked. That's how paladins work now. And then for some reason, we give the nuclear bomb to the wizards. I don't get it. I know they're called Wizards of the Coast, but guys, this is too much. I know I seem like I'm really upset about this thing, but I kinda am. Because that means that this thing, if it doesn't get changed, is at the center of every piece of design. I'm gonna have to wait and see what happens in the monster manual in February. Because if this spell doesn't change by then, and we release the monster manual, and they once again release monsters that, if they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they release monsters that are scaled to the rest of what they've designed, Conjure Minor Elementals dog walks everything. If they design monsters built for Conjure Minor Elementals, then no one else but the wizard gets to play. That's why this spell is a problem. And I know the spell is also for druids, but come on. Come on. I know they can turn into things, but they're not making the sheer number of attacks that a wizard can with Scorching Ray. It's kind of like, for those that play Overwatch, for me, this book is kind of like if Blizzard decided to finally release a patch that fixed almost everything. All the one-shots are gone, but it still feels fun to play the characters that relied on them, like Hanzo and Junkrat, but like they get extra stuff in it. Now, like instead of one-shotting, Junkrat has like a homing mine or something that deals damage, and it's fun to use. Or I'm not a fully fledged video game designer, so like my ideas might suck. But like the idea is like everything is close to fixed. Playing tank is somehow fun again. Ana is no longer the corner piece of the meta every single patch, but she's still fun to play and she has a little granny hop now. Genji is good again, and he's no longer getting nerfed. But then out of nowhere, they give Mei 1,000 hit points. It's like, whoa, why are we doing that? Who asked for that? Huh? I don't know. It seems odd to me. It's only one spell. Yeah, you can just ban it. But to the people in the comment section who are going to say, just ban it, lol, I need to criticize the game that I'm presented with. If the mentality is just ban it, that's like saying we'll fix it in post.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I don't want to have to sit down at every table I DM for the next 10 years if I decide to DM this edition and go, I'm banning Conjure Minor Elementals. And then the poor guy who's built his whole character around using that, I have to go, hey, here's a shittier version, Spirit Shroud, you can use. I don't want to have to do that. I want WotC to playtest their shit. Or hire designers that know the math of their game, I guess. Or proofread. I don't know what went wrong with Conjure Minor Elementals. It's like someone forgot a line of text, you know? Like, this damage only applies once per turn. If that was in there, the spell would make sense to me. And it would still be good, is the thing. It would still be really strong. It just blows my mind that it's in the state that it's currently in, especially on a wizard. I think that this edition could be very good. I think they're making a lot of very smart decisions, especially with the marshals. I think, for the most part, I think they need to buff the Paladin. I think they need something else. I think as well that the rogue is in a very interesting spot where they can spend their sneak attack dice to apply debilitating effects, and that's really cool and fun. Dice pools are fun, and being able to spend your dice pool to be like, oh, I'm dealing less damage, but now you're asleep, or I'm dealing less damage, but now your reaction's gone. Like, that's fun. That's cool. There's strategy there. There's a resource there. Give the marshals resources to play with, you know? But Conjure Minor Elementals has been given to the wizard, and the wizard already has the biggest toolbox. At the end of the day, D&D is a game about solving problems. Sometimes the problem is that there's a creature with hit points, and you need to make it not have those. Sometimes the problem is there's a door. Sometimes the problem is that there's guards you need to sneak by. And as long as the wizard has the most tools in their toolbox, they will continue to be the strongest class. And it's fine if they are the strongest. I'm not against there being a strongest class. I just don't want there to be a class that is so fucking good, playing something else feels like shit. And that's kind of how I'm gonna feel for a little bit with this Conjure Minor Elementals thing. Because the fact of the matter is, the other classes aren't gonna come close to playing a wizard with Conjure Minor Elementals, which is unfortunate. Enough whinging about Conjure Minor Elementals though. Let's end on a good note. They nerfed a feature, which I am very happy for. Action Surge. Action Surge was too good. Why did it operate the way it did in 5e, where you could just take another action and cast a spell? That was stupid. That was really dumb of them to do, to allow that in the game, and for that to be the centerpiece of the Eldritch Knight's kit. That's kind of stupid. Now the Eldritch Knight can still do that, but they do it as a part of their attack action, so it's actually balanced, and it's only the Eldritch Knight can do it, which I think is really cool. In case you can't tell, Eldritch Knight is my favorite class, and it has been since 5e. I'm so happy with Eldritch Knight being in the state that it's in. To me, the fighter is the class that should be what other classes are based around in a lot of respect. It's versatile. It's able to fit a large portion of character archetypes. It's got a lot of mechanics to play with, a lot of cool things to slot in and techniques to try out. I really like the Eldritch Knight. And nerfing Action Surge so that you have to take the attack action with the new action is really smart, because that means you can cast a big spell as your action, Action Surge attack, and that is what the fighter is going to be doing. Or if you multi-class dip into it from Paladin, or if you multi-class dip into it from some other spellcasting mixed class. I'm really happy. But that is all of my first thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you liked this video, please once again remember to like and subscribe, share it around. Sharing is a great way to support the channel. Other than that, get the fuck out of my house. Bye!